It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse here as well. Got plenty to get to today, Patrick, because, for as much as mid-June might not seem like the hotbed of sports talk, the Twins, the playoff race getting more interesting now. I don't even know if we call it a playoff race in June, but just the division, the structure of the division getting interesting. So I want to get into that here off of the weekend and what's coming up. We got to talk U.S. Open as well. Maybe a little Lynx basketball. They came up short again, an interesting game with some twists and turns right up to the end. But yeah, like I said, Twins at the jump here. Lose 2 out of 3 in Arizona while Cleveland wins 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. Probably not how they imagined that weekend going in either direction. And now just a 1-game lead and, weird, again, trailing in the loss column as they get ready to play Cleveland here. And, they've got a lot of games against Cleveland and the White Sox coming up here before the All-Star break. But, just what did you make of the weekend and kind of where they sit now? Because it's kind of slipping a little bit here. They got through that AL East stretch just fine, but Cleveland's just been so good lately. They've caught up to them.
Yeah, they've. I think Cleveland's won either 16 out of 21 or 17 out of 22 or something like that against the Dodgers. You look at the lineup, you don't really know how the heck they're doing, except for Jose Ramirez, who might be a candidate to be the MVP right now with all the RBI he has. And he was one guy that Cleveland decided to pay the money to. They gave him a contract early this season, a lot of money, and I don't know. They got the wily old manager. He relies on his starting pitchers to give him quite a few innings. I see, Bieber's coming back from a year off of Tommy John, and the other day I had one of their games on, and he was up to 115 pitches, and he was still in the game. So Francona, man, he's just a little bit old school. But when he's pretty much missed the last 2 years in a lot of games because of health and stuff like that. But he seems to be healthy and engaged. And, the G-Men, maybe they're taking great pride in their new nickname, the Guardians or something. But I don't think, if the Twins were going to be fighting for the division title, you thought for sure it'd be with the White Sox and nobody else. And I think a lot of people thought Cleveland was, the Detroit had spent some money, and Detroit thought they were going to be around 500 this year, and that Cleveland might be a fourth place team, but they're playing good, and our fellas are extremely erratic, particularly hitting wise, aren't they? I mean, the middle game down in Arizona, they look great, hitting the ball all over the ballpark. But beyond that, you get shut down twice. What is it, Madison Kelly? They can't get anything going against him, and I don't know. I've been telling you how long I don't like him that well. I said last night on Twitter, I said, it wasn't that much fun when they were first. They didn't give us that much fun when they were in first place by 5-6 games. It's just they've been erratic all year, and that's baseball. Being erratic is a part of the deal, but I just don't know about this team. They miss Polanco. I hope that back thing doesn't. I almost wrote a column about 10 days ago about how he was their only warrior. I'm glad I didn't buy that one. Well, because he's now missing time with a bad back. So
I wrote a blog post about 6 weeks ago like that. So you're fine. I'll fall on that one.
Yeah. I mean, he is that kind of guy. So he must be.
Right.
They must have begged him not to play. I don't know. How's this? I'd bring it up again. I mean, they got Joe Ryan back, and we'll see. I don't think he's Nolan Jr. like a lot of the Twins fans thought he was for when he had a few good games in a row. Chris Archer, he's been better, but he was bad yesterday, giving up home runs. It's just, I don't see how they get to the finish line with a pitching staff like this. I just don't see it. I mean, and the bullpen, Theo Bar comes out and gives up a grand slam yesterday. If he's having to face a right-handed hitter, he can't get anybody out. So I don't know. It's just we were saying all along that they were in first place because nobody was chasing them, but now somebody's chasing them. So we'll find out.
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake for 24/7 gaming, fun restaurants and bars, and luxurious hotel rooms. And join Club M to bask in the rewards. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
It was funny. Phil Miller on the podcast the other day saying, it's a shame that there doesn't seem like there's going to be much of a playoff race this year. And now all of a sudden it is tightening up. And to your point about Cleveland's starting pitching, they've been reasonably effective, but more than anything, they're giving them innings. Cleveland still played 6 fewer games than the Twins this year. They're still beset by that. They're actually 2 games up in the loss column. The Twins are 4 games up in the win column. But Cleveland's starting pitching in 6 fewer games has thrown 22 more innings than the Twins have. So that's basically like an inning a game that they're getting more from their starters than the Twins are. So that's interesting to me. And also, to be more precise from what I said at the beginning of the show, Twins have 8 against Cleveland and 7 against the White Sox before the All-Star break. So the next, 27 days, 28 days, 15 of those games against either Cleveland or Chicago. So that'll tell you a little something right there.
Yeah, it will. And you point that out when the Yankees were here now with those 5 guys, and the Twins knocked all of them out of the games. But the Yankees came into that series. Atterbury actually told me this. I was talking to him. He's a good numbers guy. And I was talking to him, and the Yankees bullpen had 55 fewer innings than the Twins bullpen when that series started. So, that's, you rely on your bullpen much more. And now starting today, God bless America. 13 pitchers today on 13. And I don't care how much Rocco whines. I'm fully in favor of having the 13 pitcher limit and start stretching some of these guys out. And, when Griffin Jackson comes in and has an 8-pitch inning, you don't have to hook him. Gardy and I used to argue about this all the time. He used to always say, I had to use my whole bullpen. And I'd say, no, you didn't have to use your whole bullpen. You could have used 2 instead of 4, but you chose to use 4.
Right.
So now you could have pitched these, when you're behind trying to catch up, you could have used guys 2 innings apiece, but you use them 1 apiece and then tell me you use your whole bullpen. You don't have to do it that way. And they got to realize that once in a while, you got to get 2 innings out of some of these relievers. And you also have to I almost had a chest pains the other day when he sent Dylan Bundy back out for the 8th. I thought somebody check Rocco. He's got desert fever or something. Letting Bundy, poor red-faced Dylan, go out there for the 8th inning. So maybe he was practicing for when they only have 13 pitchers, but I don't know. Very, very erratic team. And it's so far, I think a lot of it being their best player takes 2 games off a week at least. The Correa gets days off for no reason. They got that stumble bum playing first, or Miranda. There's just a lot of things that aren't lovable about this team, even though they've been in first place. And we might have seen the best they got. That might be the best they got. I don't know. They're just, it is funny though. Cleveland will be in town for 3 and they won't draw anybody because there's such a lack of appreciation for the competition in the division. That's one thing we can look forward to next year. Less games against the 4 teams in the division, and I think 3-4 less games against each team.
Yeah, I think they play 14 each against the Central next year.
So 5 less. So that's 20 less against the Central. We can look forward to that next year. But I admire Cleveland a lot, and the way they don't spend, but they keep coming back and figuring out some way to do it. And they had all those great teams in the 60s. They couldn't win a World Series. They should have won one. They couldn't win a World Series. And they had that lineup that was just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But they've hung in there pretty much for 20 years now. They've gone down a couple of times, but not that often. They just and what's amazing is, Falvey and how many people have been hired out of the Cleveland Brain Trust to run other teams and things like that too. So they've had a good organization, and they'll come in here, and you'll have to try to beat them with 4 runs, probably 3 runs, maybe, because they don't give up a lot of runs, and they somehow piece their bullpen together. And it's, but I still, what, the White Sox, they got to get it together here eventually, don't they? I mean, they can't play like this all year, although Moncada got hurt now, but I still think they're going to win you've allowed the White Sox to stay close enough.
Yes.
That still probably going to be the team that wins it, I would think.
Oh, yeah, they're still, they're 5 back. They're 31 and 33, but yeah, there's almost 100 games left in the season. So there is time for that. And they do seem like they're not done, I don't think, in the division. And they seem like any team in win now mode is probably going to, even if they're not setting the world on fire by the deadline, you could see them making a deal or two as well to try to jumpstart that thing and get it going. But
somebody mentioned this to me on Twitter, though, that, games in hand aren't as beneficial in baseball as they are in hockey.
Yes.
Cleveland has 6 games in hand, I don't think. Yeah. Which means a lot of doubleheaders. That's what that means.
That's true.
You do get the extra pitcher for a doubleheader. So
why don't they let Archer pitch a little bit more now? I just kind of assumed at the start of the year it was because, he's still trying to keep him healthy. Try to kind of come back, but he's like 4 innings almost every time.
Anytime he wavers at all, they hook him. But didn't he get to the 6th his last start? Didn't he?
He's never pitched more than 5 full innings. I don't know if he made it into the 6th in one of those and he got taken out, but every other start has been 4 or 3. So 13 starts, 52 innings this year. That's 4 innings per start. That's just a tough way to go. You got to get 5. You got to get 15 outs from your bullpen every time Chris Archer starts, even if he's been relatively effective. Like, can't you stretch him out a little bit more by now?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's just he's going to have to look at life differently. I'm sure they'll be bringing in poor Toby Gardner won't have the same pitching staff one day over there in St. Paul. I'm sure they're going to be bringing in more and more guys and shuffling them back and forth, but because of the 13 pitchers. But he's going to have to look at life a little differently. He's going to have to push these guys a little harder. That's for sure. As his starters, and Archer's. The fact that Archer's made all his starts is pretty astounding. But again, that 52 innings is a good reliever for a guy with 13 starts. That just doesn't work, and too much. They just relying too much on a mediocre bullpen. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and they got it lined up right for this series. At least looks like it's got Joe Ryan on Tuesday, Sonny Gray Wednesday, and then Smeltzer Thursday. I mean, arguably those have been their 3 most effective starters this year, right? I mean, when Ober was okay when he was healthy, and they still got to wait for him to get back. But there's just not a lot of help waiting. Maybe Winder at some point, but it's just, that's probably the best you're going to do. And that's,
if there's
does that scare anybody?
It should. The one great failing of this organization since those guys took over in November 2016 is they have not developed starting pitching. Where the hell are they? All these guys, they've drafted all these guys, they've told us about all these guys, and none of them make it here. Canarino was their big guy a couple of years ago. They got him pitching 2-3 innings in his starts down in Wichita because he had arm trouble last year. These guys aren't here. None of them are here. It's Winder and Joe Ryan they traded for, and Winder was he's 26 years old, and you're looking at him. I mean, they have not developed pitching at all, And that was supposed to be the calling card for Falvey. So that's, that to me is a great failing of this organization in the 6 years these guys have been in charge.
Yes, I agree with that. Well, it should be, that all that said, this is still a first place team, 38-30. They're playing an interesting series. First place on the line. Cleveland could leave town tied or even ahead if they get a sweep in this one, or the Twins could put a little bit of distance between them if they can manage to, win this series or sweep it. So better than the alternative of 2020, which was, of course, no baseball talk by now, or at least not any real talk except for what are they going to do at the trade deadline. I will be interested to see what they try to do in the other direction at the deadline this year, because it feels like this was never really meant to be a year where they were going to be necessarily ultra competitive. But then they signed Correa, and then you're like, okay, are they kind of going for it? So I don't know what kind of mode they're in right now.
No, this is my favorite time of year, though. You get that you get about almost a month of no football. I love that. I love the fact that we don't have to read about the Vikings for a month. The preoccupation of our lives, with football mini camps and then training camps and all that stuff, I've really gotten out of that mode. I think since they left Mankato, it's like, to me, hey, are you going to Mankato? You go down there, you see a bunch of people and blah, 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 and see how the town's jumping and hopping and see that. Now they're out there stuck out in Egan. Who gives a damn? I like this time of year because we don't have to see anything about the Vikings for a month. So,
yes, it does make things a little bit easier as well. Patrick, that U.S. Open, let's switch gears a little bit. That was awfully good. I don't know how much you watched on the weekend, but I watched quite a bit of at least most of the final round yesterday, at least the back half when it was getting close. And boy, Matt Fitzpatrick hit about 5 shots that I was like, what? How to do that? The putts he was bombing in from where he was. I mean, it was nice to see a final round of a major where it was won because somebody played really. It was like 2 guys who played pretty well and one guy who just made a lot of amazing shots, including that shot out of the sand on 18 to rescue his par on 18.
Yeah, it was. It's that, it's amazing. The kid won the U.S. Amateur there, right? He won it at the same golf course. Here's what astounds me: if you got guys hitting shots where God never dreamed you could hit. There's no long irons anymore in golf. It does not exist, and it's all, can you hit it in the fairway and then whatever you do with your wedge shots and or 8 irons or once in a while. But if you can really get the greens firm, and then just grow cabbage on the sidelines to make them hit it straight, it's amazing how these courses can still defend themselves. This course was built in 1890 or something like that. Laid out. I was there for the Ryder Cup in '99, and the greens and the tees are like Minnetonka. They're right next to each other. It's an old time golf course where you finish the 17th, you finish the 14th hole, and you walk over, and the green's 15 feet away from you. And they've changed that to some degree, but to have them be able to do enough, these old golf courses, to defend themselves. If the best thing that happens is if you don't get rain, right? If you don't get the course soft,
right?
If you make the course hard, I mean that firm and hard, and what I mean is firm.
Yes.
So that also if you hit the ball, you don't have to hit the ball in the fairway. You got to hit the ball in the middle of the fairway, otherwise it'll run down and get into the grass. A little bit of a crown on the fairways and stuff like that. They can still defend themselves if they can really make the greens hard and firm. And if you don't hit it within 5 feet of where you're trying to hit it. It might run off here or there and everywhere. So I was proud of the old golf course. That's what I was proud of, that they made it so dang tough that these guys, even with the 320-yard drives, they what 4 under, right? Didn't he win it at
six?
five?
I think 6 was the winning score.
Got to 6. Okay,
but six is a good major final
US
score, right?
Well, except at Augusta,
Yeah.
Augusta, the reason Tiger Woods might someday still have a chance to poke his head into it at Augusta is they don't have any rough. You got to hit it into the woods to be in trouble. They don't have any rough. When they grow rough and he has to hit it straight, we're never going to see him again. I don't think we're going to see him anyway, but Augusta is majestic, and every time they come back from a break, they talk about like they're in the middle of God's, acre. But it's the easiest of the major courses, and when they set up the PGA course tough, like they did Southern Hills, and they set up this course tough, and they don't get a lot of water, they can make it tough as hell. And this guy is I'm sure that I'd like to see the London papers today. This was for the glory of man that Fitzpatrick won. I was coming back from Valderrama when the Europes beat the US and we were in London for a day coming back. My wife and I was over there, and it was like we had conquered Nazi Germany again. It was unbelievable the way they wrote the papers. It was like Churchill had come back, and so I can imagine the glory they felt for this Fitzpatrick kid. But it was it's fun, and we got to get, now that we got to live and everything else, you're gonna have to get rid of used to a pretty whole new group of players, don't you think? I mean, it's your stars now are, Dustin Johnson's not going to be a guy he can still compete and stuff like that, but I mean, it's a strange new world we're watching in golf, and I guess Matthew Fitzpatrick winning the U.S. Open as part of that.
Yeah, Zalatoris was good, but there was a big swing, I think.
Eat a sandwich. Give that guy a Big Mac or some damn thing. He weighs 100. He makes you look fat.
He's not big. You're right. He's not big. But yeah, none of these guys are. Yeah, these guys are pretty.
How about though that he can hit it like 320?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah, I can too. Like just give me 2 shots and I'll get it to 320.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's all. We always thought, oh, he's a big, strong guy.
Right.
Yeah, well, if you do everything perfect and you have a perfect swing, I mean, Rory proved that for years,
right?
As far as anybody, and he's a skinny little guy, and but it is incredible to me that this guy, he could be back to back here. Zalatoris, he could have one of 2 of them in a row.
Right.
Open.
Right.
So,
and there was a big swing. I can't remember if it was like 14 where Fitzpatrick made like a 35-footer for birdie, and then Zalatoris missed a par. I think it missed a par putt, and it was all of a sudden got up 2. But then it got close again because Zalatoris came right back, made a birdie, I think, on the next hole. And I thought that thing was going to a playoff. And when he put that thing in that tough fairway bunker on 18, and then looked like that's bogey territory right there. But he went for it, and just an unbelievable shot. I said it's one of the best shots I've hit of all time. I'll be honest. I've really struggled with fairway bunker shots all year. I'm a fast player. When I look back on it, it all happened so fast. Natural ability just kind of took over. I just played the shot, and it came out kind of a squeezy fade, and it was amazing. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And you know what? The other thing, you make 35 putts there. You got to hit it hard enough so that if you miss it, it's going to be 8 feet probably. So
right.
Coming back, I mean, those greens were so fast that it was fun to watch. So good for him, and good for golf. And I'm glad the Live boys all.
I was gonna say, poor Phil. huh? I don't feel bad for him, but he's going to have a tough road ahead for him, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Well, the funny thing is he should be playing with the seniors. It's probably all over for him as far as, but and this live tour with only 48 players, that somebody reminded me, I guess maybe we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. These guys are going to all be playing. It's going to be the same guys in every tournament. They got 48 guys. They're going to be the same guys in every tournament. They won't have Matthew Fitzpatrick popping up and these guys. It's, the hell with them. I say the hell with them, and I sure hope the World Golf Rankings doesn't let them in.
Yeah, they're applying for it, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah, they're probably going to file suit if they don't go to World Court or go to the Hague or something. The Hague for what a bunch of guesses. The whole concept of this is the 48 team field every time they play, and they're only going to play 54 holes. That's the other thing, when they should tell them, no, you're not in the World Golf Rankings because you're playing a 54 hole tournament and men's golf is 72 holes. Okay, chumps. That's the way it
Chumps. I like that. You don't hear a lot of chumps these days.
You don't hear chumps anymore.
You don't. It's a good word. It's a good word. It's a good word.
Actually, I've been spending a lot of time, and this is a different connotation, but it's not a harsh word. But the word that really got phased out, that was the big word of my youth, dink. You guys dink is that kind of disappeared. I've been trying to bring it back. Yeah,
bring it back. I'll help you.
That's my ultimate slang. Somebody, he's a dink.
It works for me. Yeah, it's like such a mild but purposeful right. jab at somebody to call them that, right? A dink. You just like this, it's like insignificant, but just go away.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so
you're.
I tell you, the worst thing about this live is what it's going to do to golf tournaments like Hollis's, though, because about 20 of those guys would have been in. About 20 of those 48 guys would have been up at the 3M Open. So I'm sure he's out hustling and trying to get some people to show up. Dustin Johnson showed up twice. Of course, he couldn't wait to go home. Last year, he hit it in the water on 18 on purpose so he couldn't make the cut. So he could go home. He had his private jet out there warmed up when he was on the 18th tee. How far do I have to hit it in the water? And so I don't make the cut. So anyway.
Two more doesn't want to spend 2 more days in Blaine. Couple more things and we'll get out of here. Your Minnesota United lost yesterday after a long layoff, and the Lynx lost again. Patrick, a better effort, 96-95. Jessica Shepard had a monster game. I think 22 points and 19 rebounds. But you were watching.
I saw it was a record for the WNBA for rebounds for a player who didn't start.
Wow.
19 rebounds, the most ever. And but she didn't know what the score was.
The last 2 points came rather unfortunate fashion.
96-93, and there's 5 seconds to go, and they get the ball back, and she hits a nice little 9-foot runner, but unfortunately they're 3 behind, and Cheryl didn't rip her after the game, which kind of surprised me. I don't know. Were we mad at the officials this time? Did they cheat us in any way? Do we know?
I don't.
Usually do if we lose, but that's got to be the best game they played. Vegas is 13-3.
Yeah.
With Becky Hammond coaching them. So, they're drawing some people out there. I'm not sure where they're playing, but they got some arena, and they got an owner who's really involved, and he trying to put a powerhouse Vegas WNBA team together. And right now they got the best record. And we were 50-39 at halftime or something like that, right? We're up by 11 or 12 at halftime, but one of those years, and we haven't had one of these. The year before Maya got here, they didn't make the playoffs, but I don't think this is the first time they've been really bad at the standings in a long, long time. So.
Yeah, it is. We're just unaccustomed to it. You're back to the point on officiating. I don't see any quotes on it, but the Aces did have a 17-6 edge in free throws. So I bet we weren't happy about that. But
I'll tell you one thing: we give them more pub in the paper than when they were winning titles now. So we were certainly covering them, trying to give them all the support that the Star Tribune can muster, even while they're having this god awful season. So, meanwhile, I got to do a little soccer tirade, right?
Let's go. Let's do it.
So yesterday, I'm watching. Everybody finally played this weekend, right?
Yes, they've been off for a few weeks, I think. Yeah.
This is the dumbest thing of all time. You shut down for 3 weeks in the middle of the summer. That's when you want to play games, right? But
typically, yeah.
We got the international window, so Load could go play with his team in Finland or some damn place, and which is stupid. But I'm looking at the scores. This is Saturday now. Everybody's got 1 or 0. There was 10 games. 3 teams had 2 goals.
Okay.
17 teams had 1 or 0. These guys have played 16 games and they got 17 goals, I think.
Okay.
16 games, 17 goals. You should be 0-16. Get a goal, for God's sakes. How could the play be that rotten that you can never get a goal? I think, it's ridiculous.
Must be really good defense.
Scores.
Must be really good defense. Must be really good defense.
I don't know. The field's too long. Let's shorten it 20 yards. You get down there quicker or something. Nobody scores anymore. Is it the league? Is it the lack of talent in the league that nobody gets any goals? I look at the English scores once in a while, and somebody's got 3 once in a while, 3 or 4 once in a while. It happens. You get 1 or 0. What the hell? Who can watch that? How could you do it, people? You can't drink that many $14 beers to enjoy this when you know your home team. Oh, God, we got a bad break. We scored a goal and we didn't win.
I watched when I was a kid on cable. There was a lot of MISL, Major Indoor Soccer League.
Yes,
and that was like USA Network or something carried it, and we didn't get that many channels at that point. Nobody did, but in Grand Forks we certainly didn't. And I remember watching a lot of those games, and it would be like 9-7 because it was like they had the boards up. You could kick it off the boards, I think, and it was the net was smaller, but it was like it was basically in like a hockey rink. So it was that small. You just running up and down the field. It was like offense it was like a fast break on every play. It was great. I mean, I like soccer. I like field soccer too, but those games were fun. I will give you that much.
I remember we had the Strikers here in the late 80s. I was still in St. Paul. I know that. The Strikers came in. The Kicks left. Kicks had that one indoor season, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And they played outdoors. And then the Strikers came in. The Robbies brought the Strikers in they'd been in Fort Lauderdale. And they played outdoors at the Met. I played indoors at the Met for a couple of years, and I can't remember who it was. A PR person for the Strikers was a person I knew. I can't remember who it was, but called me up and said, "Hey, we got to get you out here for a game. We got to get you out here." I said, "You know what? I'm doing you a favor. I'm not coming out and watching any games. And you got good luck to you. I don't comment on you. If I come out there, I'm going to regret what I end up writing. So you just enjoy yourselves out there and feel pleased that I'm not showing up to any games. I'm doing you a favor, okay?" They're just, and I'm doing the Loons a favor. I've been over there a couple of times. I haven't been there for 2 years, I don't think now. You get there and what's going on? Nobody's going to score a goal. It's going to be 1-0 or 1-1. And, at least when the other guys were here, the Kicks, right? We got penalty kicks. We got penalty kicks, right?
Yeah.
The time were settled with Kicks. When the Kicks were here, we had penalty kicks every game. I always said you should start the game with penalty kicks, and then whoever ended up, then that team's ahead. So if it ends up in a tie, you already won the game. but assure the crowd that they're going to get to see penalty kicks because that's the only thing you can watch anyway. So
I like it.
I'm down. I've made a lot of fun of it. Then I kind of made peace with it because I covered the World Cup when I was here with Zagota, and I both went out here and there, and it was kind of fun because you get to see the crowd and how the fans and from different countries and how into it they are. But the game itself, come on, somebody get 3 goals. What's wrong with 3? Let's play to 3 instead of 1, for God's sakes.
Now that we got the soccer, now we got the soccer crowd all fired up. Probably a good time for me to mention that I think on tomorrow's show we'll have former U.S. men's national team standout Kobe Jones on the show. So now that we got the soccer crowd all ready for that, Patrick, I thought I should mention that promo.
What's he plugging?
He was out. I went out Friday. They've MLS All-Star game is here in a couple months. Really? They were doing kind of a skills thing out there for kids, and he was in town for that. It's kind of a traveling thing. So he was good. He's interesting. That'll be a good one.
How come we didn't get a World Cup game? How come we didn't get any World Cup action?
I don't think we have a big enough outdoor stadium. A lot of these things are at these aren't at soccer specific stadiums. These are at like football stadiums. They can fill these. They can fill football stadiums for these things. So that is what
I played 2 years of TCF Bank. Isn't 50,000 isn't enough?
They've got turf there though. I think most of these. I don't know. Really? I think so. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe 50 isn't even big enough, and I don't know if it's wide enough even for what they'd want. I don't know. Maybe there's just 11 better cities than this one to host a World Cup game.
Well, the good news is that next time they're in the World Cup qualifying and it's 25 below, they can have a game against Costa Rica up here or some damn thing, or Trinidad and Tobago like they did.
That's right.
There's still guys, some of those Honduras guys had to have their foot removed from they froze to death, basically. The one guy was in the hospital for 3 days. That was the dumbest event we've ever had in the history of Minnesota sports. Out there, it's 18 below zero, and we're playing soccer. It's if that's the only way you can beat Honduras, you should fold it up anyway. So.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how they fare in the World Cup this year in Qatar.
Hopefully, my dear friend Bruce McGuire, my soccer guru, will listen to this and can correct me on everything I said that was wrong. So,
I'm sure they will. All right, Patrick. That's good for me. That's good for you. We'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks because no shows all next week, as I've mentioned a couple times here.
July 4th, huh?
Maybe July 5th. How about July 5th?
All right.
Good enough. Sir. Bye-bye.
See you.